Hey guys, happy Friday. Okay, this is your last day of spring break. This is also the last day on Google Classroom that you're going to be working on something that you haven't learned, that you've already learned, and we're just reviewing. Starting next week on Monday, we're going to start with a brand new topic that you have never seen before in sixth grade. So that's really exciting. So this is your last day where you're really just doing stuff that you've already learned. And as you can see, it's area of triangles, which is stuff you were doing very, very, very well with when we were in the classroom. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to check our answers from yesterday's. So if you need to pause the video and open up yesterday's classwork, you can do that. You should have already submitted it. Checking your work on number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's move into today's review lesson. Remember that we're doing area of triangles. There's 3 different ways we can find area of triangles: base times height over 2, 1/2 times base times height, or 0.5 times base times height, depending on the question. As I said when we were all together in the classroom, I like using this first one the best, base times height over 2. The only time when I really don't use it is when I do fractions. I do the 1/2, but even when I have decimals, I prefer to divide by 2. But you guys are going to get to decide which one you want to do. Looking at this first example, remember that sometimes on a picture, the height can be outside of the actual picture because the height is the distance from the bottom all the way to the opposite point. So when I write my work for number 1, I'm going to do area equals 1/2 times base times height. I decided to use that formula because this has a fraction in it. That's the only time I really use this formula. Area equals 1/2 times 2 times 6.5. I know that I cannot do that problem unless I change everything to an improper fraction. So 1/2 times 2 over 1 times 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13 over 2. For me, I'm going to do this part first because I can do some lacrosse, and 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1. So this is just equal to 1 times 13 over 2, which just equals 13 over 2, which I can change back to a mixed number, and we're right back at 6 and 1/2. Make sure that we're saying that this is yards squared. Okay. For number 2. Number 2 can be a little bit trickier because there's actually 3 numbers now. So we have to decide what is our base. Our height is obviously 32. Our base is not 12, and our base is not 34. 34 is just this part of the line. 12 is just this part of the line. So to find my entire base, I have to combine those 2 numbers, 34 plus 12, which gives me 46. So this entire line is 46. So when I come over and do my formula, area equals base times height over 2, area equals 46 times 32 over 2. Notice that even though it doesn't say 46 on the problem, I still know that 46 is my base. I now have a lot of different choices. For me, one question that I can do in my head is 32 divided by 2, and I know that's 16. So all I'm left with is 46 times 16. I can then just do some scrap work on the side. Get 6, carry the 3, 27, 0, 6, 4, add them together, and I get 736, so my answer is going to be area equals 736 meters squared. Key for today is make sure that you're using the correct numbers for your base and your height, and you're being smart about which formula that you should use. You're doing all 10 questions on your problem set, making sure you're hitting turn in when you're done turning in those questions, and then we'll go over the answers on Monday before we start our new lesson. Just like every other day, you have some con assignments that are due at the end of the day today, so make sure that your con assignments are turned in by 4 o'clock today, Friday. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week for some new math.